Welcome to Three Count Commentaries. We're going to talk about Summerslam 2021. At a glance, SummerSlam 2021 was a roller coaster. I mean, wrestling shows should be roller coasters, but this show was more of a roller coaster than anything because it was the highest of the highs, the lowest of the lows. Things, it had peaks and valleys. There were things in between. If you're a pure work rate, kind of guy, you're not going to be happy with this show. If you're somebody who loves angles and swerves, you might think this was a very interesting show. If you're somebody who likes straight up pro wrestling, you may be on the fence about this show. You may hate most of the show. 99% of the show you'll probably hate. But if you're a person who just sits back and enjoys the ride, like you just kind of like, okay, that was fucked up. That was just completely fucked. Whoa, what's going on now? Then you might have got a little bit more out of this show than usual. And the show was 4 hours. So it wasn't like 4 hours of back to back to back great matches. There was obviously going to be some bullshit in there. There was a lot of bullshit on this show that they could have cut out. There was a lot of swerves that were completely unnecessary. There was a lot of stuff. There was a lot to talk about. So let me shut the fuck up and talk about it. I'm going to breeze through some of the unimportant stuff first. Big E got his Money in the Bank briefcase back by defeating Baron Corbin on the pre-show. The TikTok announcer, Rain Cruz, was actually pretty good. She was actually pretty good. The first match, Riddle and Randy Orton defeated Omos and AJ Styles to win the tag team championships. Omos disappeared at some point in the match. Riddle has now won 2/3 of Raw's championships within 6 months. He was the United States champion in like February. Then he lost that title at WrestleMania. And now he's a tag team champion. The only title he has not won on Raw, outside of the women's titles, is the WWE championship. He's having a hell of a year. He's having one hell of a year. Riddle is really killing it. He's doing really well. Him and Randy have really clicked, and I'm enjoying what they do. And this was fun. I wonder what is next for Omos and AJ Styles. Probably a rematch. I'm saying after the rematches. When I mean what's next, I mean after the rematches. Eva Marie and Alexa Bliss was absolute dog shit. It went on way too long. I think the match was only like 3 minutes, but it still went too long. I did hear "We Want Wyatt" chants from the audience. Eva Marie tried to escape. She tried to rip and run around and ended up standing by. Then she actually grew some balls. Unlike Shayna Baszler, who is a real MMA fighter who was scared to death of this doll, you had Eva Marie slapping the doll around, and she actually smacked Alexa Bliss with the doll. It was bizarre. The eyeball thing about this is I actually saw people actively saying you should not buy Alexa Bliss's merchandise. I saw wrestling journalists say this. That hopefully we can kill the doll by not buying the merchandise. And they don't understand. The doll, if you kill the doll, let's say you don't buy the doll and the doll goes away, which is what they think. It could also lead to her career being in danger. You don't want to do that. You don't want to actively support people not buying the merchandise of a performer unless you want that performer to be on the chopping block. Because if they can't generate money, I mean, obviously they won't fire Alexa Bliss because the doll won't sell. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that don't get in the habit of saying, oh, don't buy that person's merchandise. You know what I'm saying? And plus, I think it's fucked up. In any event, Alexa Bliss wins. Doudrop announced Eva Marie as the loser and then put on Eva Marie's jacket, which says a lot about the size of Eva Marie's jacket and how big it was. They have completely flubbed this whole Eva Marie thing. They flubbed the hell out of it. She could have been so much more fun than she is. They veered away too much from her original character, and now she just to be a manager. They should do what they originally was bringing her in to do, which is be the on-screen girlfriend for Angel Garza. Anyway, match 3. Damian Priest and Sheamus. Damian Priest wins the United States Championship. Vince hates those NXT guys, doesn't he? Anyway, this match was a match nobody cared about when it started, but through sheer good work, These dudes got this match over. Damian Priest took a huge bump. He did his little rope somersault over the top rope. He landed directly on his back, pretty much his tailbone, and his legs jellified after that. He had a difficult time in this match. The match seemed to slow down even more. I mean, they were already working a pretty pro wrestling, pace. They wasn't doing too much, but it slowed down even more afterwards. Damian Priest is a guy who's 40? He's like 38 or something like that. And he just landed on his back and his legs weakened for a little bit. He still was able to finish the match, and he won the match with the Reckoning. Became the United States champion. It was really fucking cool. I'm not a fan of the blue hair, though. Not a fan of that. And I want him to stop doing that flip. I want him to cut out all flips and thigh slaps. Cut out the flips and the thigh slaps. I liked his promo after the show, after his match. He talked about how this might not be a gold medal, but it means something to somebody who comes from a little pueblo like him. From somebody where he comes from. This United States title actually means something. So hopefully they have a plan with some heels for him to face, and not just he had to beat Sheamus again and again and again. Tiffany Haddish, of course, botched and called him the national champion, which I always like the idea of a national champion. NWA has a national champion. I like it better than United States champion. What do you like better? Now, there's three options. In the comment section, I want you to pick one of these options. World-class championship wrestling in the 1980s. Before they had a world heavyweight champion, they recognized the NWA World Heavyweight Championship as their world heavyweight title. In 1986, they flipped it to recognizing their own world heavyweight title. The first champion was Rick Rude, by the way. Before they had their own world title, their highest level of belt was called the American Heavyweight Championship. I like that name too. The American Heavyweight title. So here's your options in the comment section. Let me know. American Heavyweight Championship, National Championship, United States Championship. Which one do you think sounds like a more prestigious title? I like National Championship personally. I like American too, but American also considers like South America. That makes you intercontinental, which is, whatever. The Usos defeated the Mysterios to retain their tag team championships. We've seen this match way too many times, but this match was still pretty good. The Usos, they rock. The Usos rule. The Mysterios rule. I want to know what's next for Rey and Dominic. I think we need to add somebody to this story. We probably need to bring it back Angie and the daughter, and do a family thing with them. Then we get to our absolute horseshit of the evening. We got a Rick Boogs and Shinsuke Nakamura. Now, they were buying time for whatever reason. They came out and they just did a little dance segment where Rick Boogs can play the guitar and Nakamura shimmied around and Pat McAfee danced on the table and everybody was having a ball. Then they went into the video package for Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks. Now, here's the thing. It had been going all week that Sasha Banks wasn't going to be at this show for whatever reason. She was not going to be at the show. WWE continued to promote Sasha Banks as if she was going to show up. Bianca Belair got to the ring as if Sasha Banks was going to show up. And then they announced while Bianca Belair was in the ring that Sasha Banks was not going to be there. That's swerve number one. So you led people to believe Sasha Banks was going to be there and then she wasn't. Now some people who follow the dirt sheets and all that kind of stuff, they knew she wasn't going to be there, or at least they had an idea that she wouldn't be there. Even if you don't buy the dirt sheets at face value, you had an idea that they weren't going to be there, and a swerve was coming. And so we thought, okay, obviously they're going to do something to put over, Bianca Belair. She came to the ring, so it's obviously she's going to issue an open challenge or something like that. So they say that her new opponent is Carmella, and everybody immediately shits on this. Myself included. I almost had a nuclear meltdown at the concept of Carmella getting another title match. And the crazy thing is, that ramp is so long that Carmella strolled down the ramp. She was taunting the audience, everything, all this stuff. And then they even had Bianca Belair cut a promo saying that, okay, well, maybe not tonight, but I'll get you at some point, Sasha. and then said she's going to take out her frustrations on Carmella, and then boom, Becky Lynch music hits. The building erupts because nobody expected her. Becky Lynch takes forever to get to the ring. So we got Becky Lynch, Carmella, and Sasha Banks. Not Sasha Banks. Carmella, Becky Lynch, and Bianca Belair in the ring. They're just standing there staring at each other. And I figured out how we're going to get out of this. Then Becky assaults Carmella, rams her head against the metal cage, challenges Bianca Belair to the match. Bianca Belair accepts the match. That's swerve number 2. You made us think that Carmella was the opponent. We got emotional about that, and then they swerved us. Oh, it's not really Carmella. It's Becky Lynch with everybody who everybody likes anyway. Yay, we all so happy now. And now they're like, okay, look at this. We got this huge match now. Completely impromptu. Becky Lynch, Bianca Belair. There's 50,000 people here. Asterisk, because we don't know how many people are really there. And now, this is going to be dope. This is going to be dope. Then they shake hands. Becky Lynch sucker punches Bianca Belair, hits like a rock bottom, pins her in 10 seconds. Completely shit all over 4 months of hard work. Bianca Belair looked like an absolute tank for 4 months since WrestleMania. And hell, even before that, she looked, virtually unbeatable. And after a cheap shot, and I don't even know I think Becky Lynch's finish was a submission hold. So obviously Bianca Belair is not going to submit. She hit her with a big move, pinned her flat. No shenanigans whatsoever, just pinned her. You're like, oh, it was a cheap shot. Me and a bunch of other people saw that and was like, that's bullshit. That's straight up bullshit. She got Kofi Kingston. She got Kofi'd. Why would you get people to invest all this energy into this seemingly invincible character just to beat them in 10 seconds with Becky Lynch? That is absolutely ridiculous. A woman who just literally hopped off the maternity table, or bed. It wouldn't be a table, it'd be a bed. This is absolutely ridiculous. So now you've created all of these problems that don't need to exist. For starters, Becky Lynch came back as a babyface. Bianca Belair is a babyface. Even if you say, well, she sucker punched her, she didn't cheat, so it wasn't a heel turn. So what was the benefit here? What did you really get out of Bianca Belair looked like shit? Like, she looked stupid. And then what is she going to do? Complain? She's going to go on SmackDown and complain that she didn't sign up for a match with Becky Lynch, or, Becky Lynch cheap shot at her or whatever. That's just whining. Why would you want to put your heroic type of character in a position to be a whiner? That makes no sense. It would have made a lot more sense if Becky Lynch just would have been the wily veteran and had rolled her up and, got a quick win, similar to what they was, and then kind of, shadowed that this could happen in Cena and Roman, or even better, you could have had Carmella, who was still out there, cost Bianca Belair the match by pulling her leg, hitting her with a chair or something like that from behind, and Becky Lynch didn't need to take a bump or anything like that. For starters, if she can't take a bump, she shouldn't be out there, and she certainly shouldn't be the champion if she can't wrestle. So, of course, everybody's like, oh, everybody's overreacting. They're going to do the match again. They're going to build up this big story where Bianca's going to win the title back. And I'm like, you don't understand. You can do that. You can have her lose. That's not the problem. The problem is how she lost. She didn't get cheated. You wouldn't, here's the thing. You would not have done that to other people who were booked similar to her. You wouldn't, if you're going to have a character like Becky Lynch outsmart her, which you can do, kind of goes against her being the smartest, but whatever. You can cheat. She can pull the tights. There's nothing wrong with that. She can get a quick win. We're not saying Bianca Belair is the best wrestler in the world. She can just get, small packaged, and that's it. You could have had Carmella interfere. Those are 3 different ideas right there. Somebody pitched the idea of Carmella, making it a triple threat match. And then Becky Lynch beats Carmella, which is, probably the best option of the shit situation that you got left. The fifth option you have is to not even do this in the first place and then send somebody else out there. I mean, I understand you wanted to try to replace Sasha Banks with somebody as big or bigger, so you can't send Toni Storm out there or Liv Morgan or something like that. People would have been pissed. It wouldn't have been considered a big enough star to replace the star that they lost. But in this situation, you diminished the star of Bianca Belair, especially to people who are just looking like, wow, she can just get beat that easy. Like, why didn't Sasha Banks just pop her in the face and hit her with a rock bottom and pin her? Like, you have to explain why this situation is so different. And of course, they put the camera on her a lot so they can make it seem like, oh, she was surprised and she's frustrated because Becky Lynch got over on her. Like, that's not, nah. This was whack. And this killed the crowd. And that's the worst possible thing that you can do. I don't care how you kill the crowd. The worst thing for a wrestling show is a dead fucking crowd. That's the worst thing. That's the worst thing for a show. This killed the crowd for at least 40 minutes. People were legit out of it. Even people who liked Becky Lynch were like, that's bullshit. What is this? People don't like seeing unearned crap. And I've seen a lot of people say, oh, if they worked a real match, people might have turned on Bianca. Then let them turn on her. People will get respect one way or the other. If you're going to turn Becky, then Becky should have turned in this match in order to get out of this situation. If you're like, oh, we're going to build to the rematch, this is still not the way to go. Why do it the way that you did it? Build to the rematch by putting heat on somebody. Who is the heat on? Bianca looks like a goof and Becky looks like she's invincible. Like she just beat anybody super quick. But the biggest problem with all this will actually come up with the other women's title match. And we'll get to that in a second. The next match, which I'm honestly probably only watched 40 or 35 seconds of, Jinder Mahal and Drew McIntyre. The crowd was dead. They put Drew McIntyre out there with a dead-ass crowd because they decided to absolutely triple swerve everybody in the Becky, Carmella, Sasha mess. Because they triple swerved everybody and you got like an entire roller coaster of emotions just in that segment. The next match was kind of like, oh, there's nothing on the line. Nothing gained, nothing lost. Drew McIntyre just wins. Nobody cares. Right? So it's like that wasn't any good. Then the next match, Charlotte versus Nikki versus Rhea, triple threat match for the Raw Women's title. You still had the crowd mostly dead. And, Charlotte was able to wake them up, which is, a testament to her skill and talent. This match was not bad, but then, because this did wake the crowd, it woke them up a little bit. People were kind of into this because, again, they like Charlotte. They hate Charlotte. They like to hate Charlotte. Let's put it like that. Charlotte did her somersault thing, which killed Rhea Ripley and slammed Nikki's head into the barricade. Nikki, of course, got booed. And then she submitted, which opens up the entire conversation about the chokehold that the four horsewomen have on this division. I have been talking about this for months. It is as bad as the chokehold that Adam Cole had on NXT. Him and his ilk, the Garganos, the Ciampas, Adam Cole, the chokehold those guys have on NXT, that's the exact same chokehold the four horsewomen have on these women's divisions. They are not letting other people get over. And you could, and look, I get it. Wins can be periods or they could be commas. Everybody thought Nikki was losing on TV as a build-up to her winning the big match. But no, she lost the big match too. So why are we investing so much time and effort and energy into Nikki if we're not going to get anything out of it? What was the point? Why is she even there? We already had Rhea Ripley and Charlotte. Why not just leave it as it was? See, that's the problem with the Money in the Bank is the hot shotting. They hot shotted all this bullshit. Nikki is in a position. She obviously not over enough. I get taking the title off of her because she's not really over, and you want to let's do something else, let's go in a different direction and building that character, and maybe a 2.0 version of this character where she's not as bright and not as happy, but she's probably a little bit more darker. But then you had Rhea Ripley right there too. So like I said last time, you yanked the rug out of from under Rhea Ripley for Charlotte, and now you're yanking the rug out from under Nikki for Charlotte. Who is ever supposed to get over in this division? It's like Sasha Banks went through all the trouble of building Bianca Belair, doing all that effort, and then you just had Becky yank the cord right from underneath her. Well, Sasha and Bayley. And you just had her yoink right from underneath her. It's like you're not even rewarding people for investing in these characters. Everybody has to lose eventually. But you're not even rewarding people for investing time and effort and energy into these characters when you just have them look stupid and get beat flat by the same people who beat everybody. So it's like, and then these people are not like Undertaker or Steve Austin or, like Kane in the 90s or something like that. These are fucking women's wrestlers. Like, why is Becky so fucking dominant? Why is Charlotte so dominant? I get that, stars get treated like stars. I agree with that. But then why put Nikki in that position if you didn't want to? It was stupid. And then why was Rhea there? Why did she keep losing? That's the double problem here. It's not just an issue of you fucking over Nikki. It's also you fucking over Rhea. Put somebody in there you don't care about then. Have Charlotte beat up, I don't know, Dewdrop or something like that. Why is she beating people who could have a future? Let them go do something else and build themselves up instead of them just continuously getting involved. Like, Charlotte has been in a knot with Rhea for almost 2 years. Because remember, this whole thing with them goes back to WrestleMania last year. Well, it wouldn't be 2 years. It'll be 1 year. It would be since WrestleMania last year. She has not gotten a clean win over Charlotte yet, has she? So it's like, is that the direction that we're going in? Because even if that was the case, Charlotte winning the title again does not help us in this situation. This was stupid. Now this, of course, got some people really, really interested. But for me, this was fucking dumb. This was dumb. I absolutely hated this decision. The next match, though, absolutely ruled. It kicked Raw ass. Edge, Seth Rollins. This match ruled. Now, the story of this match is simple. Edge is having to go to his dark place. So that's, a travel inward. He's going through his own history. He starts out with the great Brood music, and he comes up through the fire. That's so badass. I rarely get in mark out mode. Seeing that Brood entrance with the fire and everything, I thought it was mwah. It was excellent. And then he walked halfway down the ramp with it, and then boom, you think you know me. And the crowd erupts again. Now the crowd is back. The crowd was kind of, on the women's match, they kind of popped for the finish and they booed, Nikki, but they weren't really fully invested. It was a good match, but they really didn't fully invest. In this match, the moment you think you know me hit, it was on. We were in. Like, everybody was in for the Brood. They thought that was cool, but when Edge's real theme started, we were rocking. We were good. Seth Rollins was out there, dressed like Captain Crunch. He had like henna on his tights and he was like shimmering and stuff. I didn't know what was going on. But this was a big match that felt like a big match. And it felt like there should have been something on the line. But like I said, the story of this match was Edge going into his dark place. But it was also Seth Rollins doing the same. Awesome storytelling between these two guys. As you had them both going into their bag of tricks. This was I'm trying to do this off the top of my head because I didn't take that much in the way of notes. But you had both of them going into their old movesets. You even had Seth Rollins break out a Phoenix Splash. Now, he missed it, but he broke out a Phoenix Splash. He actually used a pedigree as a spear counter in this match. Of course, it doesn't make much sense to use. How do you end up in a pedigree from a spear? But, you know, it's wrestling. It's not the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. Let's put it like that. And then they also told a traditional wrestling story of, you know, Seth Rollins working the neck. That was his target area. And that was actually his downfall. You know, Seth Rollins' obsession with the stomp, and even though he was diversifying his moveset, he was obsessed with the stomp. He really, really, really wanted to stomp Edge. He was obsessed with ending Edge's career. And Edge, you can tell from the moveset he was doing, like he did the Impaler DDT, what they call the execution. He used the Educator, the submission hold that he does. He actually used Beth Phoenix's Glam Slam, which I sound like one of them one of them dweebs that watch New Japan now. But you could tell like that was a symbol that his wife was on his mind, that he actually used her move, the Glam Slam. And that he was thinking about that as, you know, he's constantly threatened with the stomp. And you can see that Edge is doing the best that he can. And even he hits a spear and Seth Rollins kicks out of it. And so you're like, at this point, you're like, man, Edge can't possibly have any more tricks. Like, he's done almost all of his old finishers. He did the Edge-O-Matic. He's done almost all of his old moves. What can he do? And what he had to do was something actually new. That was the difference. You know, Rollins did everything that he could do, but he never did anything new. You know, like as far as a finish is concerned, he never did anything new. Edge adapted. He got into a situation where, you know, he ended up in the crossface. Just broke it. Like, Rollins got out of the crossface. And then Edge just slammed his head into the mat over and over and over again. And then put him in the Bulldog choke while his arm was still captured. And Seth Rollins taps out. So this was fantastic. And it also shows how smart these guys are. That they did big moves, but they didn't blow anything. For instance, Edge did the big spear between the ropes. Of course, he did Big E's thing, which was very interesting. But he also did like a net breaker from the top rope. Now, when he did the net breaker from the top rope, he did not go for a pin, because that would have buried that move for him to do a net breaker from the top rope, and then Seth Rollins kicks out of it. So he kind of just laid there. Like it hurt me to jump from the top rope too. Like, it's little things like that other wrestlers that you see, like guys doing crazy stuff from the top rope, you can see like they don't really consider it. They want to get the 1, 2, oh, instead of just saying that was a desperation move. Now I need to take a break, you know. So, but that was excellent, man. This really ruled, and it shows that when WWE actually does care about somebody, they make sure they get over. They actually care about Edge. They actually care about Seth Rollins, and I don't think this feud is over. I think Seth Rollins and Edge are not done. I think they got some more in the tank, and I'm actually interested in seeing more. This was very good. I will definitely end up watching this match again. This match ruled. Goldberg versus Bobby Lashley. Man, let's talk about this. Before we get into Goldberg versus Lashley, we got to talk about this John Morrison and The Miz segment. So, John Morrison and The Miz on the pre-show showed up with a gigantic truck of water. This leads to them doing a segment in between Edge and Seth Rollins and Goldberg and Lashley, where they're going to have the Dripstick 2000 and they're going to wet the dry crowd. And then this, of course, leads to Xavier Woods, who had stolen the Dripstick 2000, and he is carrying a gigantic water tank on his back that is plastered with Pure Life, and the camera is right on it, of course. And he sprays them, of course. He does Scott Hall cosplay, and it was really, really, really bad. This was really bad. This sucked. This is Stephanie's job, man. Stephanie's job is to come up with these unique integrations of sponsorships into the brand. So the zombies, that's a Stephanie project. This shit is a Stephanie project. Whenever they do live action commercials, it's a Stephanie idea. This was nothing but a live action commercial. And I saw some people absolutely flip out. Like, what is this? What was this supposed to do? What was the point of this? It's like, did you not see that the only time the camera didn't cut is when they had it on the logo for Pure Life? Pure Life paid them to do this. I know you don't like it, because I don't like it. It sucks. It was stupid. But it was short. It was in between big matches. So people can have an opportunity to not get popcorn because apparently the concession stands wasn't working. I mean, imagine that. You want to wash out the taste of all the crap that you've been fed up to this point. And you're like, man, fucking Charlotte won. I need a beer. All of a sudden, debit card declined. You can't go buy a beer. You can't. Now you have to sit sober and watch this shit. You better call, like, they need to invest in like Uber alcohol so you can like go order like bottles of Henny, Paul Masson or some shit and have it delivered to you. But I feel bad for Las Vegas at that point, man. You had to sit through this sober, even though I sat through it sober too because I don't drink. All right, now let's talk about Goldberg versus Lashley. Lashley wins the match by referee stoppage. This match was an actual match. They didn't do the typical Goldberg sprint. They did, they did the test of strength where these guys were bouncing off of each other, the old school test of strength. Goldberg ended up hitting a flying shoulder tackle and a couple of power slams. He was really manhandling Lashley. He was getting shined up real nice here. Lashley was tossed off the top rope where his shoulder jammed into the mat, and I was like, oh boy, hopefully he's not hurt. Oh boy. He ended up being okay. So the big turning spot in the match is MVP whacking Goldberg in the leg with his cane, and then Goldberg, of course, was selling it. This leads to Lashley absolutely obliterating Goldberg, running his head into the ring post 2 or 3 times, pounding him and beating on his leg. Goldberg cannot respond. Therefore, he loses the match by referee stoppage. So let's talk about that before I continue this. When I saw this match end by referee stoppage, I knew it was going to be something up. I remember telling my brother, I said to him, whose favorite wrestler is Goldberg? Big E. So I said, like, watch, he's going to continue the beating after the match. And maybe Big E will run in to make the save. I thought that would make sense, but that's not what they did. Of course, I was half right because he went in there, he beat him up with the chair, destroyed his leg, bang, bang, bang him in the chair. Nobody could do anything because Lashley's out of control. Goldberg's son jumps on Lashley's back. Lashley, naturally, if anybody comes anywhere near him, they end up in the hurt lock. He ended up hurt locking the kid. And then Lashley was like, whoa, this is child abuse. Then MVP makes an excuse like, oh, he didn't know. Nobody could have known. Hey, still your champion, And the crowd reaction, of course, they cheered for Goldberg. They chanted for Goldberg. His pyro was botched. Whatever, who cares? That's a budget cuts. Budget cuts. Nick Khan, like, my bad. My bad on the primo. But I like the angle with the son. What turned a lot of people off, what pissed a lot of people off, is that there was no clean finish. Therefore, they were going to do it again. And then after he did what he did to Gage, they knew they were going to do it again. And then, of course, I think before this or after, they had announced Saudi Arabia. So I'm like, Goldberg Lashley 2 in Saudi Arabia. Okay. Look, I don't hate Goldberg, man. Like I was telling Kevin Castle, hopefully he's listening. I grew an appreciation for Goldberg. I hated him as a kid for the same reason that I think because I was a kid, I was a work rate guy, and I still am to a degree. I can appreciate work rate. And I didn't like that Goldberg's matches were always 2 minutes, 3 minutes, like he couldn't do anything else. And then I thought about it, and I was like, you know what? As I got older, I was like, what Goldberg does is a skill, you know, like he has to sculpt his body, the intensity that he brings, the the knowledge of himself and his character that people believe in him. And that is why people get so emotional about Goldberg perhaps winning a match. Like the idea that Goldberg could win a title really pisses people off, and they're just like, "Oh my god!" It's because they believe in him. They believe that it would happen. That Goldberg at 54 years old can still win. That was the point of them putting the title on him when they put the belt on him for Kevin Owens and with the Fiend, is to create that illusion that he's never out of the fight. If he always lost, then nobody would believe in him, and then he would lose value. He has to win sometimes. Now you can say, well, he probably should not have won in those occasions, and that's debatable. But if he's going to be there twice a year to do the Saudi things, then he needs to have some momentum. He needs to have some believability where people can actually buy that Goldberg is a threat in some of these matches. And therefore, sometimes he needs to win. Sometimes he needs to get out of these matches in these bullshit contrived ways like referee stoppages. But I'm actually interested. I know a lot of people are like, this is stupid. I don't want to see this again. I'm kind of like, I'm actually interested in what happens now because Goldberg's son is involved. His son got put in a hurt lock. You know what that tells me? That tells me that Goldberg likely is in the running. I think his chances of winning the title, the WWE Championship, the one title he has not won, I think that his chances of winning that title increased. And I don't like it because everybody knows I'm a Lashley booster. I am a Lashley guy. But it would make all the sense in the world for, you to tell the story of Goldberg's avenging his son. That you put your hands on his son. And Goldberg is screaming, I'm going to kill you! And him actually achieving in that mission. Maybe. I don't know. I still don't think Goldberg will win. But I think that enough people believe in Goldberg that it's always going to be an interesting situation for him to bring Goldberg in. And enough people believe in him. They like to chant for him. They like to chant his name. But they also like to boo him. He's a fun guy. They like to boo him. I kind of figured they were going to they're going to run it back in Saudi Arabia. Goldberg, Lashley too. I'm not thrilled about it, but I don't mind it. I'm not as upset about it as other people are. Because I think I've come to grips with Goldberg as a character and what he stands for and why and what his purpose is. And Goldberg is one of the few guys that people actually believe in, and that stands for something. And you can say part of that is WWE's fault, that, they have not created enough people that folks can believe in. And that's important. That's an important point. I think that because, if they'd have booked Braun Strowman correctly, he would have been somebody that can be believable in these roles. If they had treated Bray Wyatt correctly, he could have been a guy that could have been in these roles. Drew McIntyre, people believe in him. People believe in Randy. But there's, now people are starting to believe in Lashley. Over time, you build that equity, and you have to give it back, and that's what Goldberg is doing. But he has to win sometimes, and I'm just worried that winning sometimes means he's going to win the title in Saudi Arabia. I'm legit shook that, because I'm thinking about it like heroes win in the end, and the idea that the almighty Bobby Lashley could be toppled by Goldberg in Saudi Arabia as a last testament to the strength of Goldberg for his son. it's a great story. It's a great story. Would people shit all over it? Absolutely. Absolutely, people would shit all over it. But I don't think Vince cares. I don't think Vince cares. I think it'll be more interesting than anything. The eruption and the meltdown from the internet over it would be something completely. That shit would be wild. It would be wild. I think if they do it wrong, I'll probably even melt down too. All right, so let's get to this main event. Roman Reigns, John Cena. So I swear to God that Roman Reigns is an anime protagonist. He is. They're booking these matches like he is Goku from Dragon Ball. I mean, like, all of his opponents are getting progressively more dangerous. Because, of course, Brock Lesnar shows up at the end of this thing. Huge reaction. And, but even more than the surprise pops of, like, Becky Lynch and Brock, think about how over you have to be that you have all these people going, ooh, ah, when you do it. And they did it 3 times in this match because, of course, WWE is going to blow it out now. Now that they've seen that they did it naturally on their own, I think, at Money in the Bank. It was just like, I don't know how many people were there, but they was just kind of like, ooh, ah, when Roman did it. And so they had Roman do it twice, and then they had John Cena do it. But this match was good. The only thing I have is Roman's pace is very slow. He has inherited the Undertaker's pace, which is I'm going to take my time all the time. But he has also integrated the verbal actions into the match, where Roman's entire performance is 60 to 70% physical, but it's also like 20 to 30% verbal, where he talks a lot. And the camera is picking up as he's talking. Like, he's not just trash talking, he's also continuing the story. So it's not just generic trash talk, like, you're trash, you're a punk, and him slapping the guy's head like it would have been in the 90s. It's him continuing to promo these guys, where he's like apologizing to Hollywood for, I'm going to send him back, but he ain't going to want to work. Like, this kind of stuff. And he's continuing that. And it tells the great story of, because Roman is being very overconfident, he's keeping Cena around. And Cena is Cena. He's fighting back. He's never going to give up. They're doing weird things with Cena's character, though, that I don't appreciate. But we'll talk about that in a moment. But it also taught me that Roman Reigns is invincible. Roman Reigns can just take any amount of punishment necessary. Both of these guys are invincible. And that was kind of the point. It's like, Cena is invincible, Roman's invincible. Who's more invincible? And, Cena's just a little bit older, so he takes the fall. But you had Roman kick out of the attitude adjustment from the top rope after he had got put through a table. I was just like, man, you have to run this nigga over with a tank. I'm sorry for dropping the N-bomb. So I know some people just get sensitive about that, but you have to run him over with a tank at this point. Now, the difference between Roman and Cena, doing this kind of nonsense and getting away with it, and people are saying like, oh, it's a match of the night, or it's so great, it's so awesome, and other people being bitched at, it's because you have history of these guys being main event guys and not being easy to finish. Like, fucking Shawn Spears is a job guy. Why is he kicking out of getting put through the guardrail and everything? Like, get the fuck out of here. Save that for people of higher status than you. You don't get much higher status. And matter of fact, you don't get higher status than Cena and Roman. You don't get higher than that in this position, in this business. Like, these are the guys. So if you're going to do big kick out of the finish, and they kicked out of way too many finishes, in my opinion, then these are the guys that would do it, which is why I was kind of weirded out that Edge and Seth was doing it too, as far as kicking out a finish. I think Seth kicked out of a spear, but they did a good job of not burying Seth's finish, though. Like, his finish got countered and not kicked out of. So this match was good. I really enjoyed it. And Roman has really mastered the kick out. And I know that that's like, it's when somebody is doing the little things right, it makes it so bad that other people don't understand it. Like sometimes on those roll ups, Roman would let it sit to the point of nearly hitting three, and he would kick out just at the nick of time. It was just, it's masterful dramatic storytelling that we kept being told, hey, all Cena needs is a 1, 2, 3. So he keeps trying to do roll ups. He wasn't even really trying to hit big moves and be competitive. He was trying to, he was trying to steal one. And I think that's a slap in the face to the John Cena character. Personally, I don't like that John Cena wasn't in this to win and dominate and be John Cena. Like, if this version of John Cena, I think probably would not have been a serious enough threat to make a guy like CM Punk or somebody like that. And they basically treating John Cena like he's a nostalgia act. Like that's. I think that now he's lost to Bray Wyatt, and now they fired him, which is weird. And now he's lost by pinfall to Roman Reigns. It's not a huge loss. It's Roman, but he kind of needs something to re-energize his character and refocus his character, because Cena's been very playful. He's been a little aloof. His feuds have seemingly made no sense. Like with his feud with The Fiend, it was similar to his feud with Roman Reigns, where he basically like, they have tried with you time and time again, and you keep failing. How many times are we going to waste our time with people like you? And, those guys have to prove themselves by going through John Cena, which is good. I don't mind that. I don't mind John Cena being the big gatekeeper to make guys prove themselves. He's in that position where he can do that. But I also think that we also need to do something where you don't want people, similar to Goldberg, you don't want people to start losing faith in John Cena. So he can't keep losing. So I don't know what more you do. Like, I'm guessing they're going to do Cena and Finn Balor. I don't want Cena to beat Finn Balor, but I don't want Cena to keep losing either. Like, and I know you may say, well, it's been 10 years. It's like, you're only as good as your last couple of matches. It's like when people, you tell people the Miz was the WWE champion, and you see Miz get beaten 30 seconds on TV by some new guy like Damian Priest or something like that. You're like, what? I don't take that seriously. Of course you don't, because that's not how the Miz has been. He has never been portrayed as being the strong Bruno Sammartino WWE champion. So you don't want people to be like, what the hell? You guys believed in John Cena. You guys thought John Cena was great. John Cena was like a sock puppet for Roman and Finn Balor and all these guys. I'm like, well, nah, man, there was a time where Cena was slamming giants. Like, and I don't want to go back to those days, but there needs to be somebody who needs to be fed to John Cena. Somebody needs to get beat up by John Cena. I don't know who it is, though. I have no idea, because I don't really want too many guys taking L's, but I think Cena needs to be rehabbed. His character needs to be reestablished for who he is and what he is. Especially if they're going to keep making new merchandise for him. That Mario 3 merchandise, that's wild stuff, dog. That Super Mario 3 merchandise with the flying John Cena, that's really weird. It's so weird, man. Like it's creepy. It's creepy. He's too happy. All right, so Roman wins after he says that, Cena's 5 moves are light work. Then we get the huge surprise. Brock Lesnar comes out with the man bun. Viking Brock with the beard and the man bun. He should have been wearing a helmet or something like that. He comes to the ring. The crowd erupts. People are happy to see Brock for the first time in who knows how long, because they haven't seen him in a while. And he stares down Roman. Pat McAfee calls him the alpha male of our species. And we're back in business. He stands toe to toe with Roman. They look eye to eye. Roman backs up. Then he comes out of the corner. They chat. You can't really hear them, but you can look at their body language. And from the body language, you can see that Brock is almost proud of Roman. And I thought they were going to join forces. And I was about to say, holy shit, if they join forces, that'll probably would have made me mark out. I would likely more mark out for Roman and Brock standing side by side with Paul Heyman evilly, in the middle. That would make me mark the fuck out. Because I'm like, what can you do? Like, what can you do with that? You can't do anything with that. Like that title is secure. What would be the goal after that? But Roman backs away, and so I'm thinking that the storyline is going to be Brock and Paul more than Brock and Roman. And I'm very interested in babyface Brock. He's going to make a lot of money off the merchandise, especially when they start making action figures with this man bun and his new beard. That's why people change their look. They change their look so they can make new action figures and video games and stuff. So he doesn't look like he just jumped off of his couch. He looked like he actually been doing some work. He's Brock, so he's still big as hell. He's another guy people believe in. When Brock shows up, no matter how oily you are, no matter how chiseled, no matter how many you've been talking about, you're the head of the table. They know when they hear Brock's music, the game done changed. And that's when you know you're next level. And that's what I mean by Roman is an anime protagonist. Like, he started out head of the table, tribal chief. He had to beat the Fiend and Braun Strowman, but they were just basically stumbling blocks. They were just two guys that apparently whatever they were doing was not working, and they just had to get the hell out of the way. So the true story starts with Jey Uso. And Jey Uso is his cousin. He's a tag team guy. It's a tough fight because it's a family fight. But he makes it through that. Then it's Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens is a tough guy. He's an upper mid-card guy, though, not truly a main eventer. He managed to survive that. He gets Edge and Daniel Bryan. It's mostly Daniel Bryan. These are two legends, both two guys who came back from injury, retirement, to take what belongs to him, and they both want one more run. He survives them. He ends up fighting Daniel Bryan by himself. He beats him down. Then Ray was next. Ray is a legend, been around forever. Him and Roman have a thing about the family. Roman survives him. Then it's Edge. Edge is, the crafty villain or the crafty hero who got a plan for how to beat Roman. He gets subverted because of Seth Rollins. Roman survives. And now, then it's Super Cena. Cena, the resident superhero, tough, never gives up. How is Roman going to overpower him? How is Roman going to survive him? He manages to do that. And now Brock. Now what you're going to do. So it's this what you mean by different characters, though. Look at that cast of characters. Was any of them on Roman's level? Well, Cena was, Edge was, Brock is, Ray is like right underneath, and so is Daniel Bryan. But you had different skill sets for all of them, and Roman had to adapt to those different skill sets. You had Jey. It was a family thing, but Jey and Roman are very similar in style. I noticed that tonight too. How even they throw punches even the same. The Usos and Roman. They have a similar moveset too. The only difference is Roman uses the Superman punch and the spear, and the Usos don't do that. They use like super kicks and Uso splash. But most of their movements and everything is very, very similar. And then you had Kevin Owens, tough guy, former indie wrestler, but was basically the toughest, tough dad kind of guy. Then you had the crafty Daniel Bryan, the submission, technical savage kind of guy. Then you had the fast Rey Mysterio, the luchador. Then you had the crafty Edge, and now you have the tough as nails, resilient John Cena. Now you got the overpowering man mountain of Brock Lesnar. And all of these things are building up to Roman ultimate goal, and I never believed before that Roman will be wrestling The Rock. And now I think I do. Now I think I do. I think I do believe Roman will be wrestling The Rock now. I think he's going to be wrestling The Rock at WrestleMania. And I think Brock is the next step. And between Brock and WrestleMania, probably nobody. Or he'll probably have a throwaway opponent. That's probably where you'll put Finn Balor. They'll probably put Finn Balor somewhere around Survivor Series or TLC or something like that. And that sucks. But it'll be the final build for Roman Reigns, and then they won't have to super push him anymore. He'll finally be where he's supposed to be as he slowly climbs this. It's like he's climbing Mount Rushmore of WWE to a degree, you know. And quite a few of the guys that he beat are gone. You know, Daniel Bryan's gone. Wyatt and Strowman is gone. You know, so you know he's leaving a path of destruction. This is a pretty fucking awesome story. You know, so they got like multiple stories going on. Like they have replaced the family drama, which I loved, and I was saying it to my brother. I missed the Usos being a part of the Roman story, like a regular part. Like their role has diminished so much. Just like Apollo Crews has diminished, the Usos have diminished. Everybody has gone backwards to a degree. Now Bianca Belair has been diminished. You know, now Nikki Cross has been diminished. There's so many people who have just gone backwards after taking good strides forward, changing their personalities, changing their characters, finally starting to, if not get over, be people that's worth watching and paying attention to. Then they have to take a step back. Roman is taking steps forward. He might be the only person making legitimately strides forward. And but the Brock thing, Brock, Roman, Cena, Seth, Rollins, those things saved this from being an absolutely abominable show. But it was pretty close to being a shit show anyway. I don't blame anybody who didn't like it. The show was 4 hours. And, you know, there was a lot of horse shit on this show. So I don't blame anybody who didn't like it. But I just thought it was all right. You know, I liked the matches that I wanted to see anyway were good. Let's just put it like that. So let me know what you guys think of the show. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, donate to the channel. Thank you guys for your time, and I'll talk to you guys later.